first question was, which are the people who make you feel the best about yourself? And the second question was, who are the people with whom you have the best relationships? And you have just found out that the two are virtually always the same. So now you have found out the most important single key to good relationships. And that important key is, if you want a good relationship, you have to make the other person feel good about him or herself. So all this other stuff, okay, if it works at all, it works because within, if you will, a ton of ore, there is an ounce of gold, which is this concept. This concept of making the other person feel good about themselves is the little bit of gold, okay, that will give you the good relationship. And if that gold is knocked out because you also have the negatives, if you nag or you blame or you criticize, everything goes out the window. But if you remember to make the other person feel good about themselves, you automatically are not going to blame or criticize or nag, etc. Now, one of the interesting things, you came up with one answer, which the psychologists believe in. And their answer is, they tell you, honest communication is important. You all think honest communication? So, definitely important. So I said, okay. I go home and I tell my wife, when I met you, I thought you were pretty and petite and charming. Now I see you became fat and ugly. You can't cook. You nag and you spend all my money. And the psychologist tells me this honest communication is going to help us. It isn't going to help. Okay? And when I tell the psychologist this, well, their answer is, well, that's not what we mean. And my answer is, that is exactly what you said, honest communication. Okay? And if I go home and I honestly communicate with my spouse or my partner in this concept, I'm going to have a lot of trouble. Okay?
You're right.
Absolutely. Okay. There is also a lot of scientific support for what I just said, because there is something that there's a principle the scientists refer to as Occams Razor. Okay? It's a principle which very simply says that when you have more than one explanation for any kind of scientific phenomenon, the simplest is almost always the right one. And this is the simplest explanation to good relationships there is. Okay? So now, now we've understood it, and I want to make one other thing very clear. Making a person feel good about themselves is different from making a person just feel good. Okay? I want you to think about that, because in my past discussions with people, they have very often mistaken the two. You can make a person feel good by giving that person food, drink, sex, money, drugs, all kinds of things that may make them feel good temporarily, but it doesn't make them feel good about themselves. Okay? And in fact, if you look at the 7 cardinal sins that the Catholics line up with, most of those are lust and gluttony and envy, and all those things are ways in which the individual tries to feel good as a substitute for feeling good about themselves. You follow? And that seems to be the most important single distinction that you need to remember. Just making a person feel good by giving them food or by giving them drink or money or whatever, that is not the answer to the good relationship. The good relationship is by making them feel good about themselves. Now, once we get past the idea of, okay, let's say that I buy this, I want to make another person feel good about themselves, the question is, how do I do it? Okay? And, you know, when I've asked people how do you do it, you know, it's interesting. You wouldn't think that it's such a big question, but apparently it is. So I'm going to ask some of you, how would you make another person feel good about themselves?
Positive encouragements.
Positive encouragements. Okay, that's good. How often?
Every day, to build their self-esteem.
That's extremely important. You have a very good insight. It's not just positive encouragement, which is good. It is a continual acknowledgement of all the good things that person does. Okay? So, for example, if you're married and you come home and your wife has, the house is clean and the cooking is there and the kids are taken care of, you always thank her for it. Okay? You don't take it for granted. See? You thank her for it. The wife needs to thank the husband if he's a good husband and he's a provider and he isn't out there drinking and carousing and cheating and so on, she also needs to bring to his attention that he's appreciated. The business with the husband and wife relationships is the hardest one in all society. And that, originally when I wrote the book, that's what I was addressing. And I was addressing it because the problem with a husband and a wife is you have to get along in so many areas, okay, that inevitably there are going to be conflicts. See? You have to get along socially, you have to get along economically, you have to get along sexually, you have to get along religious-wise, you have to get along with how the children grow, you have to get along with the same friends. It is so difficult, okay, that even in the entertainment, one person likes to go to the movies, the other doesn't. One likes to watch football, the other doesn't. So the difficulty, and the reason the book was originally written, was to help husbands and wives get together. Since then, of course, it affects everybody. There is, in my opinion, in the mind, that that's what this book's all about. We have two separate personalities. One personality is the Dr. Jekyll, which is the nice person, the loving person, the kind person, and the other one is the Mr. Hyde. And the Mr. Hyde is kind of the evil part of us, okay? Now, this evil part of us I call the beast within us. And I explain, okay, that the beast within us is blind, deaf, dumb, doesn't worry about consequences, wants what it wants when it wants it. Now, it also wants to feel good about itself. Okay? It wants to feel good about itself. But it is the part that if it doesn't feel good about itself, it settles for feeling good. And this beast within us is capable of taking over what I call the logical me, which is the good part of us, without the logical me even knowing about it. I mean, how many of us have watched on TV the story of the wife who gets beaten repeatedly, and every time she gets beaten, and the cops come, and now the husband is contrite. He's saying, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, I don't know why it took her, it'll never happen again. And he believes it because it's the logical me talking, you see? It's the Dr. Jekyll within him talking. And 10 minutes later, something triggers him and he beats her up again, okay? And he doesn't know why he did it. And the reason he did it is because the beast within him took over, okay? Now, the next interesting question is, how do you control the beast? Okay? And the issue about how you control the beast goes back to what kind of a beast is in you. Do you have a powerful beast in you, or do you have a weak beast in you? And that is determined by how you perceived the love and affection you got as a child. Now, it is not the real love and affection, because most children are loved by their parents, see that the parents beat them and abuse them and so on. But the perception of the child is what counts. Okay? So if the child perceives that it was not loved, this is why I wrote the book, because I was hyperactive as a child, and even though my parents loved me dearly, I felt completely unloved. Then the beast gets power, and the beast is looking for ways to feel good, because it can't feel good about itself. I was a bully when I was younger, okay? And I used to, in my own mind, I used to put people down all the time. And I remember at the age of 22, I was standing on the street corner, and everybody was walking by, my mind was running. This one is too fat, that one's too small, who the hell does this one think she is? And it was amazing. I was thinking the logical of me, what are you doing? You've got 1,000 people are walking by, you don't know any of them, you'll never meet any of them, you'll never talk to, and still this is going through your mind. Why? Okay? Why? Well, I found out why. It took me 50 years, but I found out why. And the why is, it was the beast within me who had so suffered because I had been hyperactive and my parents had done things to me. They meant well, but it didn't work. That my beast was looking for some way to feel good by putting people down even in my own mind. Okay? I was mature enough now to be able to externalize it, but it was going on in my mind. And I was saying, why the hell are you doing this? Okay? I mean, you're just standing waiting for somebody to, what are you doing? And I couldn't stop it. Okay? And that's what I mean when I talk about this. So you have to be able to control that beast. Now, one of the things I'm getting into is the bullying aspect. You know, bullying is a relationship issue. Okay? People bully because the relationship they have is bad with the person they're bullying, but they get a certain degree of, shall we say, satisfaction from bullying, or they wouldn't bully. Now, why do they do it? They do it because the beast within them gets its satisfaction from hurting others. Okay? It's like, okay, I'm suffering, I'm going to make someone else suffer, and I'm going to feel good about it. And that's what the beast does. And then the answer is, how do you control the beast? Okay? And it's very interesting because I learned how to do it. You control the beast two ways. The first way is by recognizing what you've just heard. Okay? It gives you a lot of insight, and it's almost like you're observing yourself and you're able to understand what's happening. That usually will go a long way towards stopping it. The other thing that's very interesting is this. Everybody likes to think they're very smart. Now, one of the smartest things that you can have and you can be, and I think, I'm Jewish, it happens to be in the Torah, although I haven't read it. I think it's also in other religious centers. You can tell me if I'm right. And the idea is, control yourself, okay? Before you look to control anyone else, learn to control yourself. And that is the greatest power, not power over others. Am I right, Bobby? To control yourself. Now, when you have learned that the beast is able to control your logical me, okay, that understanding, okay, makes you a pretty smart individual, because very, very few people understand that. And being a smart individual makes you feel pretty good about yourself. And that is enough, often, to calm the beast. Because what the beast wants is either to feel good through antisocial activities, or to feel good about itself, like the logical me, through positive activities. Okay? And when it can't get, the beast is powerful because it hasn't had that, has not perceived the love and affection in youth, when the beast has that within it, okay, it is going to be doing antisocial things, which is bullying and stealing and doing all kinds of bad stuff, okay, to get that feel-good, temporary feel-good feeling that it craves because it can't feel good about itself. And that is basically the key to really the entire story. Now, once you understand it, do the things that makes the next thing is you need to internalize it. So that is internalizing it means the story of the book. What I'm also now trying to do to listen to is I'm trying to get it into the schools, walk out, because the schools try to stop the bullying by punishing the bullier, making him conscious of his bullying. But none of them get to the beast until you get to the beast and make the beast, give the beast what the beast needs, okay, in a good way, okay, you are not going to stop the bullying. And long-term effects of bullying apparently continue, and there isn't, the effect of bullying is not corrected by the short-term works. And that's what I'm now working with the school board to try and get this into the schools. Because I believe that it's almost like you have a car that's racing, you have your foot on the accelerator, and what they're trying to do is to put their foot on the brake. So the accelerator is going, the brake is going, the car is in turmoil, and it's not going to work. My system removes the foot from the accelerator. You now get the peace. The beast within you is satisfied. And once that happens, you then naturally start doing all the good stuff. And that is the thrust and essence of the book. And now we turn to questions.
So what is the beast inside that person?
What is the beast? Well, the beast is a part of the brain. See, there are two parts to the brain. Okay. Now I'm giving you this. There's an emotional part of the brain. The guys who study the brain, the scientists, they will tell you that there's one part of the brain that's the emotional part, and there's another part of the brain that's the thinking part, and there's another part of the brain that's just the automatic part, that just, what?
Motor skill.
Yeah, the motor skills, which controls, no, it controls the independent part, the breathing, the lungs, all the stuff that works. Our body,
So what is the difference between your concept and the concept that the school or the psychologists or...
the difference is enormous, and I'll tell you what it is. What the school tries to do is it tries to take the bully, and it tries to, first of all, punish him if he disobeys. It tries to make him conscious of what he's doing, but it does not address the fundamental problem. The fundamental problem is the bully is bullying because he can't help it most of the time. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to get the bully to stop bullying because he wants to. The fact of the matter is, the bully isn't happy, except in the short term.
If he wants to, then how is he going to do it?
He's going to do it exactly the same way that I described it. The knowledge that he's controlling himself is going to help, okay? The fact that that knowledge, it makes him an intelligent person, is going to help. And the third way is to give him the society-approved way of making him feel good about himself. For example, if I were running the school, I would pick the bullies and make them protectors of the victims. You're a bully, you're a big, strong guy, you're a bully. And this is just an example, I don't mean it. And this young lady is being harassed, not necessarily by you. I am a teacher. I can't control what goes on in the playground and elsewhere. I want you to protect her. If she has a problem with anybody in the school, I want her to come to you, and I want you to go up to them and say, listen, you, leave her alone, because if you don't, you're going to have to deal with me. That is going to make the bully feel good about himself in a good way. And that will give him what he needs. And hopefully, we haven't tested this, this is the theory, but hopefully the victim, okay, is going to be able to seek protection. Now, one of the other very important things is you would not believe, or maybe you would, how the victims, okay, feel that somehow they are wrong in some way, that they deserve to be victims, okay? Because they have some flaw in there. Maybe they're not good looking, or they're too fat, or they're this, or they're that, or whatever it has to do with, okay? Something, okay? And, or if it's an ethnic thing, if they're in the wrong ethnic group, if they're in the minority ethnic group in one area, which could be a majority elsewhere, that will be a problem. And the point is, they are made to feel by the bully that it's their problem. What I am telling you is, it is not their problem. The victim will be taught that the problem is in the heart of the bully. It is the bully who has the beast problem, not the victim, okay? Because some of the victims actually believe that they are, you know, inferior people. I'm not so smart, I can't play football, I'm this, I'm that, I'm too fat, I'm too short, so they believe that. When they understand that the problem has nothing to do with them, it is the problem in the mind of the bully. That's going to make them feel much better about themselves. Is you walk around feeling bad about yourself. Okay? I was bullied and I was a bully. Okay? And I know both sides of the equation.